यस्त्यक्त्वा रूपमाद्यं प्रभवति जगतो अनेकधानुग्रहाय प्रक्षीणक्लेशराशिर्विषमविषधरो अनेकवक्त्रसुभोगी सर्वज्ञानप्रसूतिर्भुजगपरिकर प्रीतये यस्य नित्यं देवो हि सहसो भव्यात् सितविमलतनुर्योगदो योगयुक्तः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Gently bow your head down. Bring yourself to the class. Prepare yourself for the session. When you're ready, gently lift your head up. Open your eyes. External eyes. Namaskaram. We discussed Sutra 1.15, 2.15. And in the last session, we discussed Heya Hetu, Hana and Hanopaya. We discussed what is the problem? Yes. Yes, samsara. What is the reason for this problem? Samsara, dukkha. Avidya. What is avidya? Hetu. Yes. Then what is the hana? State free of samsara. A situation with complete dissolution of samsara as long while you live. What is it known as? Moksha. And what is moksha? Hana. Technically the term is hana. And finally, how to attain this state is the practice of yoga. So what is yoga? Hanopaya. So Sage Patanjali here tells us the role of yoga. Why was this not mentioned in the first chapter? Why here specifically the role of yoga had to be explained to the seeker?
Yoga Ruksha, because it's for Yoga Ruksha.
Yes, because Yoga Ruda already know what is Heya Hetu, who is Hatha, Hanopaya. For Yoga Ruksha means the one who has just begun the journey of yoga. For such a person, the importance of placement of yoga and the use of yoga as a method to dissolve the samsara is to be discussed. So yoga is not just a practice. Yoga Sutras are moksha shastra. They are taking us towards moksha. And how they are taking us towards moksha? By being the Hanopaya. And what is a seeker known as? The yoga seeker? Hatha.
Hatha.
So whenever yes, whenever it is Hatha yoga and people say practicing Hatha, I really feel like explaining the Hatha to them, the actual meaning of Hatha, but I hold myself. That's not the place. I said, okay, it's Hatha yoga. Yes, good. You go ahead with it. Ji, Lisa ji, question? Yes.
I wanted to understand a little bit more why there are so many terms to describe the sadhaka, why it's called sadhaka, and then also hatha, and other words, like, are different scriptures that defined differently, or what?
Yes, good question. So a yoga practitioner who is only practicing asanas versus a yoga practitioner who is into the 8 limbs with the shastra. So yesterday we discussed the physicality of yoga. Yes. And we also discussed the spiritual aspect. So one who practices both is a hatha. So the term for the seeker now becomes hata. Hata, the term ha comes, that means heya, hetu, hanupai, all of this is known by the seeker. So the moment I say hata, I know that my guru knows which path I am on and what I am towards. If I say I am a sadhaka, sadhak means somebody is held on to a sadhana. Sadhana means instrument. So I am a sadhak, which means I am currently in the use of a certain instrument to attain moksha. And sadhana is more of a practical approach, yes, or a practical perspective. Instrument is rajasic. Sadhana. What is the term sadhak? Rajasic. Hata. What is the term? Satvik. Abhyasi. What is the term?
Rajasic.
I would say it denotes tamasic to rajasic. Abhyasi.
That is a Rajasic term because he's doing sadhana.
Abhyasa?
Sadhak.
Sorry.
You
you're
said
not-
I'm not
Sadhana
audible.
is rajasic.
But ma'am, it's he's doing sadhana, so it's a
Doing. What did you say? Doing sadhana.
doing sadhana.
Because of the doing, it is rajasic. What is rajas? Movement, activity. What is
Okay.
sattva? Stillness and peace.
Okay, okay.
Why abhyasi? Abhyasi means practitioner, practice. Practice means you have not perfected it. Sadhak has perfected and using it as an instrument. Hatha has practiced, has perfected, has gone beyond it towards moksha. This is one perspective we can have. Yes.
So Hatha does not really have any practice, like doesn't use yoga as an instrument to.
Not as an instrument, is beyond sadhana, is very now moving ahead
Just like
towards
living
moksha.
is only like that.
Yes, entire life is yogamaya. There is no dvaita here for a hatha. So, heya, hetu, hana, hanopai, hatha. These were the 5 terms and they are known as Yoga Shastra Chaturvyuha. Write this in the sutra. Yoga Shastra Chatur means 4, Vyuha. What is a Vyuha?
Versions.
Yes.
Way of
Versions.
seeing our versions. Yeah.
Yes. You can also see this as a vortex. Vyuha. Circular vortex. Yes. You can write all the 4. Heya, hetu, hana, hanopaya are Yoga Shastra Chaturvyuha. To understand Yoga Shastra, these 4 must be completed or understood correctly. Heya means that in Ayurveda, like we saw the example, if we take an Ayurvedic text which talks about a certain disease, so that disease is heya. Hetu is the reason for that disease. Hana is the state when that person becomes disease free. What will be the state of the person who becomes disease free? And we see hanopaya, how to attain that state or solutions to remove the disease. Solution is discussed always in the end. First the disease is discussed, then the reason for the disease are discussed in that book, then disease-free state is discussed and how to attain that disease-free state is discussed. Okay, we take the example of Ayurveda. We already discussed it. If we take in the case of Moksha Shastra, what do we see here? What is the disease here? Samsara. So samsara is the heya. Samsara is the heya. Reason for samsara is avidya. Avidya. So hetu is avidya. Then without avidya, what is the state? Without samsara, moksha. That is hana. And steps to attain moksha. What is that? Solution for moksha. Yoga. Yoga is hanopaya. And one who is in awareness of this hatha, practitioner of yoga, not just the asana, but walking towards moksha by holding the practices of yoga in a palm, safeguarding them, not at the beginning, but after understanding the samsara, after understanding the avidya, after understanding the moksha, is understanding the role of yoga to attain. So to study yoga, my first requirement is to study the samsara. To study the samsara, I saw 3 ways of learning. Which are the 3 ways? Yesterday we discussed.
Reading, listening.
First is reading. You read about the samsara, you understand what samsara is. Then you see everything around, you learn about samsara. You listen and you know from others the experiences in samsara. So that is how heya is tackled. Today we will progress from here to the next sutra. This is where we conclude Yoga Shastra Chaturvyuha. This is to make the hatha understand Yoga Shastra Chaturvyuha Shastra. Now one by one all this will be explained. Heya, hetu, hana and hanu. Sutra 16. Bhashyam. Tadet shastram chaturvyuham ityabhidete. Students ask Sage Patanjali, what is heya? What exactly is sansara? Why we are scared of sansara? Or what is heya? So Sage Patanjali answers, chant after me. Heyam dukkham managatam.
Heyam dukkham managatam.
Heyam dukkham managatam.
Heyam dukkham managatam.
Heya is the suffering which has not yet been experienced. Says this sutra. Let's study the Bhashyam. Dukkham mitita umapabhoge nati vihitam na heya pakshe vartate vartamanam cha swakshane bhogarudhamiti na tat kshanantare heyam atma padyate tasmat yadaivan anagatam dukkham tadaivam shipatrakalpam yoginim klishyanti netaram pratipattaram tadeva heyata mapadyate. So, heya is what? Not the suffering in samsara which has passed. Not the suffering in samsara which we have experienced in this life, because that is also past. Not the suffering of this moment, because the moment we try to do something about it, it will go. The purpose of Hanopai, that is yoga, is to remove the suffering which is yet to come in the future. What is to be escaped is the pain which is yet to come, or the pain which has not yet come to me. What is to be escaped is The pain which has not yet come to me, the pain which is already gone, I cannot do anything about it, which is in the moment, I cannot do anything about it. But the pain which is to meet me in the future is to be escaped. So, in this lifetime, I am certain there is death. But being the Hatha, I know that death does not guarantee the removal of suffering, because the past sutras were on karma, we already discussed. So, before death, if I exhaust all my karmas, anyway, I have to leave the body by death. It is permanent dissolution. So, my death should be a temporary change or permanent ending of this life karmas, or my death actually means the closure of this dukkha of samsara. This is the perspective of the yogi. So yogi, what we discussed yesterday, yogi does not open the eyes. Why? Because just like something goes into the eyes, you are immediately disturbed by it. Similarly, when the yogi opens the eyes and sees the samsara, sees the suffering, immediately closes the eyes. Similarly, when yogi sees the future, and sees the samsara, sees the suffering which has not yet come also. What is the yogi seeing? Not the suffering which has passed, not the suffering which is experienced in the moment, but the suffering which is bound to meet. So, yogi knows that in the next life also, there is going to be sukha dukkha. There cannot be a life purely of dukkha. There cannot be a life purely based on sukha. So, understanding the sukha dukkha is both to come, yogi says that is, sukha also is suffering. Because moment it is going to exhaust, I'm again going to face the heat of samsara. So, yoga, the practice of yoga is to tackle this which is not yet come. So, before I surrender my body to its natural course, I also surrender it at the level of experiences, at the level of desires. When there is a conclusion to life, it's not just a physical conclusion, it's in conclusion after understanding life itself. Not with questions. I don't conclude the life with questions. I conclude the life with answers. And when I conclude with answers, there is no desire, there is no quest, any quest that I am put on. So therefore says, Heyam Dukkham Anagatam. Samsara is of three types. Make a note. Samsara is of three types. Atita. Atita means my past lives. Atit mein jo hua, what happened in the past. Huh? Which past? Past lives. Atit samsara. Vartaman samsara, presently where I am. Present, yes. And anagata, lives to come, births to meet me. Anagata samsara, atita samsara, vartaman samsara, and anagata samsara. So this thought of possibility of pain in the future encourages the yogi to find the answer to life. The possibility of facing the suffering in the future puts a normal person walking on the street on the path of yoga. Everybody is experiencing dukkha and suffering, yet they are not seeing that this is possible to happen again and again. They are missing that there is a possibility of repetition of this dukkha. Yogi is able to see this very, very. This is what Heya is explained. What is Heya? Heyam Dukkham Anagatam. What is to be escaped is the pain not yet met, or tackled which is not even met yet. Because the present temporary pain may get exhausted, but is there a guarantee for whatever years I live, I am pain free, and the next life which I get is free from pain and suffering? all level pain, body level pain, adhyatmik, adi devik, adi bhautika. We saw different kinds of pain, samsaric and so on. Take a moment, absorb in the sutra, then we progress. Heya is the one which needs to be found a solution to. Heya is this samsara. Which samsara? Atita, Vartaman and Anagata. Dukkham Anagatam. Permanent end of suffering.
Guruji, I got a question.
Yes. Moment. Priyaji, we have to switch off the fan because there is no electricity. It's the Wi-Fi. Yes. Hariom. Yes.
Guruji, there are karmas that we have sown the seeds of, and then they take fruit within this life. However, what about things that are irreversible, like killing of animals, for instance? So if one has contributed towards killing of animals in this life or past, how is that to be fulfilled apart from paying by, say, our own lives? So could you elaborate and shed some light on that thing?
Killing of animals, that means many animals?
Or I don't know, like as an example.
Pashutva. Pashu yoni. Whichever yoni you have your papa, in the similar yoni you move forward. So, Pashu yoni, that person is bound to, what happens in the jungle? One eating, the bigger creature eating the smaller one. So, has to go through that thing. In the larger scheme of things. Pashutva. Killing, violence comes, it's Pashutva. Your Pashu yoni is guaranteed wherever violence comes. That means next birth is animal birth, because that's where all these exhausted, all these desires for killing will be exhausted where? In the similar yoni. So whatever our instinct, we get the yoni similar. The birth, next birth, similar. There are so many things on the street we pass by. Each one of us is attracted to a certain thing, although everything is seen to everyone. So from where does this attraction come to the indriya, to the senses? The vrittis of the past. So therefore, one notices one thing, the other does not. The other notices one which the former does not. If there is a road accident, for example, 4 people are standing there. One is a policeman. Policeman immediately thinks, oh, this is an earning moment for me. Yes? There is one person of the insurance who thinks of it in an insurance perspective. There is a doctor who comes running to save lives, not thinking about insurance or any other aspect. Yes, there is one person who is really in extreme distress and is dishonest, thinks of robbing the people who have met with the accident, taking off the belongings while they lie on the road. So incident is same, but the 4 people who are viewing the same incident have a different pull to it. So next sutra will tell us what? This samsara is like the magnet. So the proximity of Purusha, proximity of the Hatha to it. What happens? Everything is drawn. And what is this? Like the iron, what is within us? The vrittis that we carry. So when we change these vrittis, when we change our samskaras, our experience of samsara changes. When there is a finite level internal change we make within ourselves, what we are engulfed by outside and what meets us changes.
Even if the samskara is very strong.
Yes.
If we have that.
We have what we see? We can roast the beach. We can actually roast these. We saw different ways in this chapter. Through mauna, We saw in the state of samadhi. So there are different ways. Now when we have the 8 limbs, all of these will be discussed. Let's see, chant the next sutra. Bhashyam tasmad yadeva heyam iti uchyate taseva karanam prati nidarshate. Chant after me. Drashta drushayoho
Drashta-drashtayoho
संयोगो हेय हेतुः
Sanyogo hetu.
दृष्ट द्रष्टृ. I think it's if it's not two, write it drashtra drishyayoho. It has to be drashtra or drashtru.
That's true.
Drashtru drashyayoho
Drashyayoho
संयोगो हेय हेतुः.
Hetuhu.
So in this sutra we saw the previous sutra heya. Now heya hetu. What is the cause of samsara? Avidya. Now how the avidya should be tackled with is discussed. For this we simply take first the example of Ayaskanta Mani, that is the magnet. Yes. Now, two terms are introduced here, right? Drashta and Drashya. Drashta, tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. We discussed what is Drashta, the seer, and Drishya. Who is Drashta? Baddha Purush. The one who is in bondage is the seer. Drashta Baddha Purush hai. Go to the sutra, Drishtu Drashyo. Before that, write Driga. So ideally it is supposed to be Driga Drishtu Drishyayoho. Driga, Drishti and Drishya. Drishtu and Drishya. Driga, Driga. It has not been printed, right? Driga, but you should know what is Driga also. So Driga, Drashtu Drishyayoho Sayoge Heya Hetu. This is supposed to be the correct understanding of this sutra. So, vrittis. What are these vrittis like? They change the mind of the Baddha Purush. Different vrittis attracted to the magnet of samsara are constantly changing the thoughts and the mind of the Baddha Purush, the one who is in bondage. Now, this Drishta is also known as Swami. Swami. You've heard in India, for so many sages, we say Swami. Who is a Swami? Drashta, the seer of samsara. Seeing the samsara by either reading about it, listening about it, observing. So what happens because of this? The Swami or the Drashta, when in contact with the samsara, instead of understanding who I am, wants to understand what the samsara is. So becomes one with the samsara, just like a pure crystal appears to be red when there is a rose in front of it. So the light of the rose is reflected where? On the crystal. Similarly, what we see here? For the drashta, the samsara, the drashta feels I am one with the samsara. If there is tamas, the samsara is felt tamasic for the drashta. If there is rajas in the drashta, the samsara is felt rajasic, rapid and ever moving. And if there is sattva, the samsara is thought, kalpana matra, for the drashta. I will repeat again. If there is tamas, what is seen outside? Samsara seen at the gross level. If there is rajas, samsara seen at the rajasic level. And if there is sattva, samsara seen at the thought. So tamasic, jada, samsara, where, oh, this is big, all of this is true, all of this is very heavy, all of this is tangible. All my experiences are tangible. To all my experiences are changeable. To all my experiences are imaginary. So when you're moving as a yoga ruksha to yoga ruda, you first time realize that all my experiences are changeable. That means not one experience is going to stay with me. I'm not sure the person I'm meeting today, I'm going to meet them again ever or not. This Shana Bangurta, this temporary momentariness and is felt, therefore yogi starts living how? Moment to moment. The one who is in tamas, years to years. Oh, I will do this after 10 years. I will do this after 5. Why? Because taking everything to be permanent, that as it is, things are going to be there. If driven by rajas, knows it is momentary. Whatever it is, I have to act now. And sattvic, all that I see does not exist. I'm supposed to not see this. I'm supposed to see myself through the samsara. So when sattva is dominant, we are not interested in what is happening outside. We are interested in knowing what is this vritti which is showing me this. So I am focusing more on the vritti, not on the samsara. And with the help of the vritti, like a rope, I climb towards my own chitta. Peep inside me, where I come from. Then I observe the past vrittis throughout life. Then I observe the vritti of my physical source. What are parents? Only physical source of our birth. They are not the spiritual source of our birth. So I see the vrittis present in the parents. They are parents only for this birth. How many parents you have changed throughout the birth? So with the rope of the vritti, you go lives and lives behind to understand how you come from. So you have now started healing, which means what? There is a shift in the vrittis. From tamasic, you have first moved to rajas. Now you know everything is momentary. Suffering is still there, but it does not penetrate within you. You are more focusing on the vritti, how you are responding to it. I will again repeat. Once you are in the practice of yoga, your focus is not on what is happening, but your focus is on how can I respond to this better? Do I need to study more scriptures? Do I need to listen to my guru? Do I need to do shravana? How can I manage this? You no more say, how can this go away? You accept the reality.
Would that already be the stage of knowing that the experiences are imaginable, or would that
Rajasic.
still be Rajasic?
Rajas. It's rajas.
And how does how does the sattvic stage then express itself? How do you view
The sattvic. So sattvic, what happens when you are in midst of suffering? Heyam dukkham anagatam. You know that suffering is going to continue throughout in different forms.
so you don't even live moment to moment anymore? You kind of
Mm,
stop living?
Yes, you don't live moment to moment. You understand yourself as the one who is life. You travel from living to understanding yourself as the life itself, as the source of life. What is the source of life? So when there is tamas, we usually say, what am I living for? What should I live for? And once you study Yoga Sutra, you say, what is life? How is life? You don't need something to live for. You simply observe life as it is. And you observe yourself through life. For example, every family is going to meet sickness. Once parent is sick, sometimes children are sick, somebody is physically sick, somebody is mentally suffering. Sometimes you are the one who is the challenge and problem for the entire family. So every family is going to meet sickness. Every family is going to meet material struggles. Why? Because not because of one person, it's a collective challenge all of you have to go through. So material struggle is there for every family. The richest of family, you see, they have biggest of loans. Please know this. Everything you see is built, the tip of the iceberg, below it lies a lot of fear. The richer you get, more fearful you are. What if all of this goes away? What if somebody takes all of it away? What if my sons do not do my business similarly as to what I did? Oh, I have created this with so much effort, all of it. So you observe, there is no use to this. It is going to go. Whatever I have earned, my next generation may or may not keep it. I don't mind if they are not material, but I, as a father or a mother, have this responsibility to tell my child that observe yourself as a spiritual being. Not I am the body. The body is mine. Like I say, the scooter is mine, the house is mine, the body is mine. I am not the body. The body is mine for this time. Oh, my body is suffering. So that means my body is what? My tamasic part. What is my body? My tamas is my body. So, oh, I have this in tamas. So I have to remove, I have to work on the tamasic aspect. Body is very healthy. What happens to the mind? Highly unhealthy. So, okay, I have a deeper concern now. There is excess rajas. Rajas is the one which is going to give me happiness or suffering. Sattva is going to observe if this is happiness or suffering. The next sutra will talk about it. Know this. Rajas is only the giver to you. Any person who gives you the pain is what? Rajas in your life. Or any person who gives you an experience is the rajas. Pain or happiness is your sattva deciding it. Anybody who gives anything to you, brings anything to you, is rajas in your life. Due to vivek, due to your sattva, you realize it as pain or joy or happiness. The giver has no idea what difference is being made to your end. That is rajas. And the ability to see what is coming is sattva in you. So, what is tamas? physicality of my body. My physicality of experience is tamas. My experience at the body level is tamas. I am actually experiencing tamas every day. My own tamas. I am tamasic, means I am living at the level of physicality. I need not do good or bad actions. Living and experiencing at the level of physicality. Experiencing the world at the level of physicality and appearances, forms, shapes, tamas. Experiencing the world at the level of thoughts, rajas. Experiencing myself, observing myself through the samsara, sat. When everywhere I walk the planet, I reach only myself, that is sat. Everywhere I walk the planet, I reach people, that is rajas. Everywhere I walk the planet, I reach places, that is tamas. So the goal is definitely to walk the planet, but to reach ourselves. Destination is us. People rajasic, because people are nothing but karmas you meet in this life. Karma have gati, speed, movement, rajasic. So Hatha is an observer of this. That I walk the planet to meet myself. I meet myself every day. We will pause here for today. Take 5 minutes, close your eyes, simply connect with what we have discussed. We will discuss Driga Drashtu Drishya Sanyoga tomorrow through this sutra at length. Not a very big sutra. Next session, we will discuss it. But allow this Hatha, who is the Hatha, to remain. In the third scenario, Abhyasi Sadhaka Hatha, to remain with you. Bring your palms together at the heart center. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gently bow your head down. Feel grateful for this learning. When you're ready, gently lift your head up, open your eyes, extend the hands. Dhanyavada for continuing our practice of yoga. We meet again next.